Hey, and welcome back to the next episode of the Right Hand Drive Guys podcast, the podcast for guys who like right hand drives. I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
Yo.
And we are here with episode 142. We're creeping pretty close to 150, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, it is, considering like this started, whatever, a while ago on your kitchen table.
Yeah, pretty much.
With like
we've came a long way from that
junky equipment, and yeah, for sure. So yeah, 142. We've integrated guests. It's been a blast, and Aaron has a buddy, and he's like, "Hey, get my buddy on." And last time he said that, it was Matt Willoughby, and he was cool. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. And his buddy is Andy Seehausen from
St.
Louis, and a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
He's a fabricator. He builds cool stuff.
Yeah.
He can manage crews, right? I mean, he's pretty versatile.
Crew chief is on his resume for sure. And
Wow.
he's one of those dudes. He's a freaking badass fabricator. So like, he's built everything from pro mod drag cars to Formula Drift cars in Japan. So like,
Pretty wild.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see those things and see like the back end of it and the cars like coming too.
Yeah,
So.
for sure. And I mean, dude's done his thing across the world. That's pretty legit.
For
so, let's get into it. Let's hear what Andy has to say. This is episode 142 with Andy Seehausen. All right, and we're back with Andy. What's up, Andy?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. We're definitely happy to have you on here.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
And so, before we get into a little bit about you, so to speak, you and Aaron know each other, right? Like, you guys go back?
Yeah, I think I've known him since like high school.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been a while from the BMX.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gotta be 20 years, man.
I think so. I mean, that would have been 2005, which is crazy to think. So, yeah, I think it's been 20 years. It's kind of wild.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it with you, like, BMX dudes transferring to cars, or like, what is up with that?
Well, I mean, from my perspective in the Formula Drift community, Formula Drift and drifting in general kind of translates to action sports. So, like, you go through the pits, and most of the time, at one point in that event, you will catch most of those guys at the skate park, the local skate park. So,
That's cool.
For whatever reason, like, it just like it translates. I don't know.
So let's rewind. So who are you? What do you do? Like, what's your specialty? And definitely, what do you drive?
So my name's Andy Seehausen. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I have spent the last 10 years in and out of Formula Drift in many capacities, from builder to crew chief to team manager to tire guy.
Dang.
Been doing that for a long time. I guess by trade, I'm a professional fabricator. I build anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 horsepower drag cars to Formula Drift championship winning cars.
Dang.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely, I'm going to say it, that's something to brag about right there. That's pretty legit in this culture to be able to work on, like you said, a drag car with 2,500 horsepower to a car that's going to be sideways 80% of the time. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been fun. I would say, Aaron's known this. I've always wanted to be a fabricator, and finally one day I just bit the bullet, and I got lucky in the fact that 5 minutes from my house there was a shop that built basically all the pro stock drag cars in NHRA.
Wow.
So I just, took the lowest paying job they had, and I went from there.
Bang, worked the way up the ladder, literally.
Heck yeah, man. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, that, like, I've said this for years, and I always say this. And in fact, the gentleman that I rent space from, Andy McCoy, That was the first thing I said when I walked in his shop. Was like, I hate drag racing. I genuinely hate it. I think it's the biggest waste of time and money, but I appreciate the fabrication. When I was at Jerry Haas Race Cars, we would have cars that were 20 years old and they were still being used to this day.
Wow.
Most people can't say that. Most sports can't say that. So, I appreciate the fabrication, but that is what led me into, getting into Formula Drift.
Damn, that's a path
pretty
right
cool.
there.
I mean, do you think if it weren't for like the drag shop up the street, do you think you would have like been able to progress in fabrication like you did?
Nah, if it wasn't for the drag shop up the street, honestly, if it wasn't for my ex-girlfriend calling me a loser,
Damn motivation, dude.
neither Danger Dan or I would have gone to precision welding school, and I wouldn't have gotten that job there, which snowballed into this. So, I mean, that's what it was.
That's pretty cool. I actually remember back in the day, and like a comment on Facebook pops up every once in a while, and it was like, "Yo, me and Danger Dan are going to welding school. You should move up and come with us." And I was like, "Damn, maybe I should have. I don't know. That would have been wild though, because you guys are killing it nowadays."
I mean, I appreciate it. I would say the same thing about you though. So, I mean, everybody has their own path.
Right.
You were in BMX. You were always a really good contender when you were, at contests and stuff. I wasn't. That just wasn't me. So, like I said, everybody has their own path. For me, it was I like to be in the background. I like to make things happen. So, what you got going on is great.
Heck yeah, man.
So okay, so when we were you worked in Japan for like quite a while, right? Like you did like a stint over there with power vehicles, was it?
Yeah.
So there was a period of time where I would typically go back twice a year, and I would be there for anywhere from 5 to 6 weeks at a time. So originally it started with I worked with a local kid here named David Mesker, and we built him a Pro-Am Pro Spec car, which I then campaigned it in Texas in Lone Star Drift, which is where he got his Pro 2 license. Well, that was about the time Aaron decided that he wanted to go to Japan for the Matsuris. So we, quickly at the time, JZX 100s were $7,000. So we bought 2 JZX 100s, and him, myself, and his dad actually flew over there, and we spent 2 weeks in Japan. That's where I met Andy at Power Vehicles, and he was telling me about how he was making a U.S. Pro effort, but they were building a Mark II in the shed. So they showed it to me, and I showed them what I used to do. And I would say a week after I got back from Japan, I was on a flight to LA, where I spent 3 months out at Megan Racing putting that car back together.
Oh wow.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
and so was that like the extent of it, or did you end up like working over there pretty consistently?
for a while it was pretty consistent. So we campaigned the Mark II for a while, and then Nian, who is Shang Nian, his Instagram handles chicken diarrhea.
I've seen
He crashed his car pretty badly, and Andy's Fabricator had to go home because of visa issues. So that was really the first trip. Was I flew out there to work on Nian's car and do a little bit on Andy's car for Formula Drift Japan. And that was I've been a part of several championship winning teams. Most people don't know that Andy was the first team I was involved with that won championships.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
He's 4-time Japan champ. So, and I believe 2 of the cars that I worked on, he won them in. So it was pretty incredible to work with him. Plus, if you know his history, like he's responsible for pretty much all of the mega cars that are in Europe.
Dude, I've seen a lot on that lately. A guy on YouTube called Juicebox has been making a bunch of videos about it, and I had no idea. Like, that dude must have had the best connections in Japan in that time to be exporting like some of the sickest cars, like demo cars from BN Sports or Kazama Auto, like just all the crazy stuff.
His shop was right behind Kazama, so anytime Kazama sold a car, like he had, my understanding, he had first rights to it.
That's crazy.
He used to tell me all the time, like he would go to auctions and there'd be big, T78 Supras with sequentials running through the auction. Like nowadays you're lucky if you find something that's clean with a body kit. So, he said that a lot of the demo cars, a lot of that stuff, but that was right about the time that the financial boom in Japan was kind of coming to an end. So
I see. Everyone was starting to try to liquidate their cars.
Right. Yeah. Everybody's getting rid of them. So,
man,
yeah.
Wild thing to kind of experience firsthand, right? Like seeing that stuff and being a part of it. And so, after that, like you come back to the U.S., I assume you start working here full time instead of traveling back and forth.
So what was it? It was like 2014, I lost my job at the race shop because they just kind of ran out of clients, ran out of cars to build. So at that point, I started working for the local kid. So I've always said that I'm a freelance fabricator. And I mean, up until this day, that's still kind of what I do.
That's pretty cool.
But I worked with David, and then I would do Andy's FD stuff. I would jump in at drag shops around here when they would get behind, and then go back to Japan when Andy would need something. So
that is really pretty wild.
To be on call to Japan?
Yes, like you're on call to LA, Japan, wherever it may be, like to work on some of the coolest cars. Like that's legit.
Well, it's funny because I don't ever tell this story, but I was coming back from a Lone Star event and we were in Oklahoma somewhere, and Andy called me and he said, "I need you in LA tomorrow. We're not going to make Long Beach. So if you have any friends that will come with you that are good, bring them. Tell me, I'll get them a flight right now. I'll see you in the morning." And Danger Dan at the time worked for our buddy Omar at Nocturnal Motorworks, and I knew he was the only one dumb enough to not go into work the next morning. So I called him, "Hey man, do you want to go to LA to work on an FD car?" And he's like, "Sign me up. I don't care what I have to do. Like, let's do this." And that's kind of how his stint out in LA started.
Dang, just taking a risk.
Just taking a risk. And like, that's just all this has ever been. And I guess I never really saw the risks until I was there. Like the first time I went to Japan, I was checking in through customs and I had 2 50-pound bags full of tools. And I didn't know where I was going. I didn't have a phone number. My phone didn't work because this was back when you didn't have Japan cell phone plans. And I basically had to tell them I'm going to Ebisu Circuit and my friend's picking me up, and pray that they didn't put me in an interrogation room.
Wow, man.
So, it was, but again, it's my first gig with RTR was the same way. I got a phone call from Ray, and it was, "Hey, we need you in Charlotte, North Carolina tomorrow. So, see you tomorrow." And I dropped everything and I packed up, and they didn't even tell me what the project was because they couldn't until I signed an NDA. And it just so happened to be the Mach-E 1400.
Oh, dang. That's crazy. So, hey, we need you here tomorrow to work on this that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Big shout out to Chelsea for that one. He opened that door.
Dude, wow.
So
that's pretty cool, man, to have someone like that vouching for you, huh?
Yeah, no, it's great. And like, I definitely need to say I'm very fortunate that I've been able to do what I do and I know who I know. Um, you know, I just say I'm lucky, but I'm always grateful for anybody that's ever opened a door for me.
Yeah, that's cool to be able to have the humility to say that, right? Like yeah, you
Oh, yeah.
didn't make it on your own, right? And that's yeah, that's obvious. How could you in this situation?
No, not at all. And you know what? I also am absolutely the one that will try to bring anybody with me. So, I think I'm at this point, I've drugged 5 or 6 friends into Formula Drift, whether they like it or not. Um, so if I'm going, anybody that wants to come is coming with me.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, and that creates the camaraderie too, and probably is why you still have friends for 20 years over here from, riding BMX bikes, right? Like that goes a long way.
Well, we're just a different breed. I mean, I don't know if Aaron's ever told you, but I sold him a Sylvia front end, and granted, we lived what 5.5 hours away from each other.
Yeah.
This fool stripped his car down to just the headlights, and he drove from Nashville, Tennessee to St. Louis, Missouri with no front end on his
Dude.
car.
I believe it.
Seriously.
I totally believe
yeah,
it.
Yeah, dude. I had to get that front end. I remember that now. I mean, I had the hood off, the fenders, and I was like, how else am I going to get it, right? Like,
Yeah,
how else would I get it, dude? I'm just a kid with a 240.
Yeah.
And, dude, I mean, speaking of St. Louis, that, like, whole drift scene back in the day was super cool. Like,
Yeah.
I used to drive up from Nashville, like, leave work Friday afternoon kind of early and then drive up, drive in the midnight madnesses you guys would throw, beat the crap out of my car, stay the night, and then drive back the next day or day after. Like, thinking back, that was crazy. Like,
Oh yeah, no, it's still like the drift scene's coming back. Like we went through a lull
yeah.
where a bunch of guys like fell off, and now the older guys like Omar has the Coyote and he's got an IS 200 or IS 300, and Kyle's still around. Tony doesn't really drift, but like if I let him drive the Mustang, he'll do it. But there's a lot of new kids, and it's sad because like we'll go to an event and I've literally had kids like, damn, I didn't know you could actually drive. Like I thought you just worked on these things. Like I've done anywhere, set up the events, run the events, drive the events, but all of you guys were in elementary school.
I know, man. It's crazy to think that now.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah, full circle. It is pretty wild how, our generation like has come back around to this and has still a major contributor to this culture, even at our age.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, I would say, like, I'm not going to say I'm old enough to say that we started it, but we pushed it hard. And I've always had a heart for Japanese cars, even when when I was working at RTR, I'd always give James crap about how this car sounds like crap and we need to put a 2J in it. So I've always had Japanese car culture at heart, and even going there and basically living it, like that was awesome. So like I want people to see that. I proposed to my wife in Japan, actually, at Ebisu.
Wow, that's cool. That's sick.
So, and we've, if we could get finances right and stop buying cars, like we would go back for November Matsuri and take our kid. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing place that definitely leaves its mark on you, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's not like what everybody thinks it is. Like, you're not going to go and see all these crazy cars on the highway doing like, highway pulls and stuff like that. But just living the culture and meeting friends and, we go when I would just say like the world kind of infiltrates Ebisu.
Oh yeah.
So most of the time in Matsuri is like you won't see too many Japanese guys. Like I got to drive with one guy once, and after I did 2 laps, he just packed it up and went home. But you get to experience it. And we're grateful for people like Andy and Emily over at Power Vehicles who actually make that, all that stuff happen. If it wasn't for them, I would have never gone over there.
Dang, that's pretty cool that, you know, these people and their influence and opportunities that they provide, like, right, get guys like you over there and get to live the life, even just for a short period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, it's a great experience, and anybody that's actually thinking about it, it's one of the cheapest places to go to. And I would say it's kind of like America, just like 180 degrees out, where it's all the same, but it's all really different. It's
Yeah.
hard to explain. It's a fun trip for sure.
So, like, as far as like competitive drifting goes, like,
Mhm.
do you see a big difference between the Japan side versus like the American side?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, I mean, I've made a career out of working with foreign drivers. I've never actually worked for an American driver, and we always struggled kind of with Andy because he drove like a Japanese driver, and in Formula D, they want you to risk your car and destroy your car every run. And in Japan, you get points taken off for that, so they don't
Wow.
want that. So we had a Mark II that was in full Kazama, full BN. The wing was off of legitimate JGTC Lambo,
Oh wow.
um, and you know we struggled with being able to get the points because we had two sets of taillights. When I was with Warhouse, we'd put in a set of taillights every run for Peter. So
That's crazy.
it's one of those things where like, and I'm not bashing Formula D, it's just a different style of driving,
Right,
but
right.
I think the Japanese have more finesse,
Hmm.
um, whereas we're more brutal about things.
More power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more power. It's more of a rolling burnout. When James came in 17, like he kind of changed the game because it was really just a rolling burnout until the cars would catch each other. And then James came into play and he just started initiating on everybody. And then it became a proximity war.
I
Um,
see.
so.
So speaking of James, though, like what
Mhm.
you gotta think, right? Like our listeners, you know, from one end of the spectrum to the other, they have more than likely heard of Formula Drift, and of course James Dean RTR, the whole thing, like.
Yeah.
In really a dream, right? For a lot of people to work for RTR, regardless of if they're Mustangs or not, or whatever. What is that like? Like, what is it like getting brought on to, what you could say one of the best teams in the country?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, especially in the interview about the car burn down. Like I see them as the best team in the world, the best funded team in the world. Um, and it was, I love James. He's an incredible person to work with, incredibly professional. RTR would be my second team working with him. And when they called me, Vaughn actually called me and basically coaxed me out of retirement because after the COVID year 2020 with Adam, um, my wife and I got pregnant and we had a child, and I basically said like I'm done with the traveling thing. I've been on the road since I was 15. It gets
Dang.
real hard. At one point, when I was doing the Pro 2, no, I was doing Pro and Pro Am, I'd be home for a week and then on the road for a week and then home for a week and then on the road. So I was kind of over it, but he told me, hey, James is coming back. We're going to put him in one of our cars and we'd like you to be involved. And, begrudgingly, my wife said yes. So I jumped at the chance to work with the best team, the best driver. And I knew the first year was going to be harsh and it wasn't going to be easy because the Mustangs are nothing like an S15. Um,
Hmm.
but I knew the second year would be pretty dominant. And I was very, very happy to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to come onto the team, and then that was the year that James won the second year.
Second year. So last year, James won. I think he was on the podium almost every round until St. Louis. I think he was. And then, the team decided that we needed to part ways. So I left the team, but, it was great to see him, finish the year and win his 4th championship and do something nobody in Formula D had ever done, at least in the U.S.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Of course, all good things come to an end, but to know that you had a part in that and, help propel him to that situation, that's nothing to frown about for sure.
Yeah, it was a good time. And I, every time I see him, I give him a hug and wish him well, and still talk to him from time to time. The RTR thing, I don't speak to them anymore, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
All things come to an end, and when that door closed, another door opened with my landlord Andy McCoy, and he's kind of got the same background as I do. He worked for the same company that I do, and he got shafted like I did, and then he decided to start his own company. Well, he builds pro mods from the ground up, including building the carbon bodies in house. So
wow.
I took him for a ride. Simon Olsen took him for a ride. And I put him in Caleb Quambeck's car, and he kind of got hooked. He's kind of into drifting now. So I would like to move forward, move past the track side of things. And, there's a huge problem in, building a Formula Drift car now where it takes forever to build the chassis. So I'm going to build a couple of chassis and have them on hand and see, if that's a viable, operation.
Save some people some killer time for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the idea came from, that's how some drag racing shops work. But when Adam wrote off the E36, he got lucky in the fact that one of his guys already had a caged shell. And, that for me was just, it makes the most sense. So,
yeah, I have seen that a lot lately. Like people, I don't know if the crashes are getting harder or what in Formula D, but a lot of people are just writing off chassis or maybe trees falling on them. I don't know. But it seems like more than often people are writing off chassis. So I think that's a killer idea to have kind of like a ready to go. You just swap your subframes and your wiring and everything else in and you're good to go, right?
Yeah, that's the goal. So I've got 2 E46 coupe chassis that I'm going to turn into, FD spec. I'll do one pro and then one pro spec, and we'll just see how that goes. I mean, I was building Simon Olsen's S15 at the start of the year, but we ended up canceling that project. So if anybody's looking for a mostly completed S15 for Formula Drift,
hey.
Damn.
Simon Olsen.
I know, man. You keep posting that. I'm like, I don't need that.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah, you don't need that. No.
You need $150,000 to finish it.
That's insane.
And so that's pretty much like what's next for Andy is just, trying to stay local to home, build, some chassis that are ready to hit the ground, so to speak. That's what's next.
Yeah, I mean, I still very much care about Formula Drift, and Kevin Wells is going to come over and see the shop when FD comes to St. Louis. So I still want to be involved, but maybe in the background, maybe not so much throwing up next to the sides of the car anymore. That's not fun.
Yeah.
For instance, Jersey last year, I had an infected tooth that I couldn't get fixed until Friday. So I was throwing up Wednesday, Thursday, and finally had to go to some shady bodega dentist get it down the track to have beg him for a root canal.
Holy cow.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Ready for Saturday.
That's a nightmare.
So, dude, yeah. Being on the road sometimes sucks.
Yeah, just fun. You're limited in your resources. You're kind of constantly moving, so it's hard to really establish anything. I could see that for sure.
Right. So, fortunately, if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't have anything. My wife's a director at a insurance company, and and she really holds the fort down. So she's the adult.
Yeah, you're still just doing, teenage things, so
playing
to
with
speak,
cars.
right? Playing with cars.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, man, I don't know.
Exactly.
It sounds pretty good to me, to be honest. So, just rolling back, you did some stuff with LZ, right? I see you're repping LZ with the T.
Yeah.
Is that still something
So
you're doing sometimes?
every once in a while, yeah. I actually just helped put the F-22 big block car together for him.
Wow.
So he's like, I consider him a good friend. I've been around him since 2018, when he first started going to Lone Star Drift. So, obviously we're both bike riders. Actually, my last heavy session was in his backyard.
Oh, that's cool.
So, like, he's a good dude. Anytime, it's no different than Andy in Japan. Anytime he calls, I move my schedule around to, fly down and help with whatever projects. But in, what was it, 2019, he called me. So in 2019, I was actually on the tarmac, flying to Japan to help build Andy's RC 350.
Okay.
And Wardhouse called me asking if I wanted to do the next year. And then Adam, the entire time I was in Japan, called me every other day, saying that he was going to make an effort for Formula Drift Pro 2 and asked if I would do it. And being that it was only 4 rounds, I said, yeah, let's do that. I was with Wardhouse for a year and a half, and I don't really want to do 8 rounds anymore. And, the thing about, I'm not going to say that this is just this was a Wardhouse thing, but the thing about Formula Drift teams is a lot of times people don't get paid. RTR, they were great about it, but a lot of times they don't get paid. So I got kind of sick of being shafted. So I went and hung out with Adam. It was fun. We got to have some good times. I got to see him kind of grow as a driver, but I also got to see him grow as a business person. And I mean, that man makes every single cent that he has. He is an absolute animal when it comes to business. So I enjoyed, and I enjoyed being around him and learning from him and getting to see all the crazy stuff he does. So I was with him for 19 and then 20 during the COVID year. My friend Chris and I, we rebuilt his S15 up here in St. Louis, and then campaigned it.
Yeah, that's where I got the infamous faded paint job, right? From the yellow to red.
Shout out to Paul's Painting Auto Body in High Ridge, Missouri. They did that paint job in a week. There was 7 shades of color that went on that car.
Damn.
That's wild.
That is kind of crazy. All to get covered up by a livery for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's cool.
Oh, I have pictures of it on the BC Forge wheels without the livery, and it's probably my favorite car.
Oh man,
it looks so good.
I can't imagine your camera roll, dude. It's probably so sweet. Seriously.
Bunch of metal and sick cars.
I have pictures of things I'm not supposed to, but yeah, like there's a lot of cars on there that just like pre-stages of what people see.
Yeah, which is cool. Almost as cool as the final, to see that process is actually pretty cool. And obviously you're a part of it, which is way cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, what do you think, like, what was your most favorite car that you've had of hand in building, you think?
100% Andrew Gray's Lexus RC.
Oh, wow.
And when I have a chance, I will build one for myself.
A Lexus RC.
Lexus RC.
Strange choice, but I mean, I get it. They look pretty sick.
Well, check your Instagram. I just sent you a picture of Adam's car without a livery. It is a Toyota Supra Mark IV, just 10% bigger.
Oh, wow. Really?
10%?
Like I did. So I caged the RC next to Andy's and Benjamin Cheam's Mark IV Supras, and the numbers were almost identical. But the floor of the GS or the the RC is an IS 250C, and then the shock towers and everything were like GS 350. So it's a weird combination, but
Oh, wow.
it's such an easy car to build, and it accepts a 2J so simply. Plus, Kazama did an amazing job with the body kit, so I just love those cars.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
Hell
that's
yeah.
pretty cool. Man, so what, like, when it comes to your personal car, what do you got right now?
So I actually have a JZX 100 Mark II that Andrew Gray built for himself. It was supposed to be a street car, but it uses a lot of the parts from the first car that we built, and it's 2J with a R154 and a GTX 35. It makes close to 600.
Dang.
We actually just got it legal, but I sold my R32 coupe because my son didn't fit in the back of it anymore. So the JZX was just kind of the natural progression. That's the direction we were going to go. And then he said that he was going to put that one up for sale. So I did everything I could to pay for it.
Right place at the right time to have him offer that up.
It was, and I will say I agreed to buy that in a really bad time. James's car had just burnt to the ground, and we spent 3 days, almost 24 hours a day, trying to put that car together. So Friday, I got a call. I was like, "Hey, I need you to commit to buying this car." I'm like, "I don't know where I am. I don't know what time it is, but sure, I'll buy it."
Sure, dude.
Made it happen, though, right?
Right. So
Dude.
we made it happen, and I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, it is sick. It is a sick car. And do you do any like buying and selling any right-hand drive cars nowadays?
I was before the economy got weird. I kind of put a pause on it because we weren't really like costs were kind of getting more expensive than we thought. But I brought in a couple of power vehicles cars. Brought in two 4-door R34s, and then I brought in my buddy Ryan Bush's 50,000 mile S13 Sylvia.
Nice,
Dang.
dude.
That's low.
They're still out there.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
it is the nicest car I've ever seen. It's like sitting in a brand new one. It's crazy. It's two-tone cream.
Oh, wow.
And Ryan, so my buddy Ryan used to be a pipeline welder, and those guys always had like something that they did when they got off work. He wouldn't go to bars. He would get on Yahoo Japan. So he has like crazy Nismo confetti Recaro.
Oh, wow.
He's got the bright blue and chrome Advan SA3Rs.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. So, it's cool. I still have that car, and I feel bad because I brought that in almost a year ago and I haven't finished the project, but we're putting a really nice car together for him.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hey, Andy, before we wrap this up, could you tell like our listeners if they want to follow along, they want to see what you're up to, where can they find you?
Just on Instagram and Facebook. I need to be better about it, but I've been so busy. It's hard to deal with that. But it's just my name. It's Andy_Seehausen on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, yeah, that's cool, man. Dude, we appreciate you making the time over there in St. Louis to do this with us for sure.
Okay.
It's you're definitely obviously a cool guy with a bunch of cool stories. I wish we lived closer.
Yeah.
For sure. We could come help you bang out that project you're working on.
Yeah. I love it. I need help. But I appreciate you having me on. I love what you guys are doing. The Japanese car culture, I feel like, is kind of getting lost in America as it is now.
Diluted,
it's cool
for
to see.
sure.
It's definitely diluted with all the Chinese parts and stuff. So,
you're lucky you got to experience some of the genuine things that nobody will probably ever get to experience again, so to speak. So that's definitely cool.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it. I would say in the next 5 years, it'll probably still be pretty strong. But you got to think those tuning shops over there, they're 30, 40 years old, man.
It's crazy.
And,
Yeah.
and speaking with Robbie Nishida, he's telling me that, like, the kids over there just aren't interested in it. So,
Dang.
if they don't have anybody to carry the torch, you're just going to have guys like Ari Amemiya, who's 70 years old, still tuning cars.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I mean, if there's nobody to carry the torch, the flame will dwindle, right? That's that's what it is for sure. And, I just think, with the change of the times and, different electronics becoming so accessible, there's just other things to be distracted by now. When we were younger, it was like girls or cars, right? Like there was just two things, so I'm definitely happy to have been a part of this time period that we have been able to.
Heck yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I also think that, like, it comes with being exposed to it. My son, at least once a week, either wants to go around in the neighborhood in the Mustang or the JZX. So, and he's 3. So,
Nice.
I think it just comes down to exposure. I was always exposed to like muscle cars.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, get your kids out there in the cars, right? Show them. If a kid walks up to you in your car, you talk to them about it. Let them sit in it.
We saw what happens when people that aren't into cars get in control. Look at Dodge. I mean, the Hellcat went away, and then they came out with that electric Charger, or whatever.
We don't even know that.
No.
And now they're back to Hellcat. The Lances just kind of went almost bankrupt. So,
yeah, it's true. I agree 100%. Andy, it was awesome to have you on, man. Hopefully we can cross our paths in the physical form at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Absolutely.
All right, man. We hope you have a good night over there in St. Louis.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Thanks, man. Peace.
See you guys.
Dude, LZ, RTR, Power Vehicles, Japan to LA to St. Louis.
Courthouse, like all that, dude. Like,
that's insane.
Yeah. I mean,
what an experience.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, that's pretty freaking cool to say you've had your hand in all these cars, like, in probably the most important piece of it, right? Like, fabricating.
Building it for real.
Building it, right?
Yeah, that's legit.
Super sick, man.
I mean, to be trusted by these guys and like be called up by them to like fly out, like you're the guy that can put this together. You're the only guy. I know all these guys, but you're the guy
in the whole world, dude.
Yes. That's crazy.
That's pretty freaking awesome, man. And dude, like, to think that, I've known that dude 20 years, from when he was working out of his, parents' like rental shop in Fenton, Missouri, dude. I remember it, dude. Yeah, I mean, he used to have his cars and all his buddies' cars in there working on them. I think I did my first 5-speed swap in my first 240 in that shop, and he helped me out with it, which was awesome to see.
Pretty cool.
See him come from that to where he is today is super awesome.
The freelance fabricator,
there
Andy Seehausen. Yeah, dude. Andy, we appreciate you for sure, and thank everybody for listening. Don't forget you can find us on the internets, RHDGUIS. But for episode 143 with Andy the Fabricator, I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
See ya.
Peace.